Hey now, and how are you doing? Want to welcome you to the next episode of Peace, Love, and Bring a Bat. Today we're gonna go everywhere on this episode. I can't wait to bring on my friend Neat. She's a number one, musician. She's as a charity. She's definitely one of our goons for good. She has so much to add. We're gonna pack this into this episode. So let's get started. How are you doing today, Neat?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you for that introduction. That gave me even more energy now. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I saw your profile and I was like, wow, this is somebody who I really want to meet. Especially, I don't know how much you know about me. I know you have a song, Rise.
Yes.
And one of the things we always talk about here is about the Phoenix Rise, about how we have to rise no matter what. And I know you have a psychological background as well, and expertise. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and then we'll start getting a little further deeper.
Yes, so I am originally Punjabi Sikh, and but I was born and raised in Thailand. So I have a blend of that culture there. I've been in America for quite some time now, but I carry with me, my Indian upbringing with my Asian demeanor. And definitely, I think it shows in my music as I am intentional about that. Yeah, so I'm here. I pursued my education here. I also went through a battle with family court here that, looking at it from an outside perspective in now, it's given me a whole new perspective on how things work. It, yeah, but definitely my music has always been in and out of my life. It was difficult for me growing up to pursue music because of the society and culture that I had grown up in. But I was persistent about that, and it found its way back to me again when I went through life when I'm older. And that's how I came up with the song Rise, that tells the story of what happened to me when I came to this country, word for word almost. Yeah.
So why don't
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about us for those who aren't familiar? And I'm definitely going to tell everybody, and we'll make the link. This is on Apple Music, and it was a highly ranked. It was right. It says number one on the video charts. Love to hear about it.
Thank you. So it was very deep. It was an eye-opening moment because not only did I get to tell the story through the lyrics, I actually got to go back to the actual location to film the video of
Mm.
where this all started and the narrative for me was built and the whole thing. So taking my son back there to where it actually happened, it helped me heal. It was empowering for me, and it told the story of how I came to this country and I left everything behind because I believed in women and children's rights and freedom. And in Asia, it's very different. So when I come over here and fall victim to domestic violence myself and coercive control, and, seeing the courts actually enabling the abusers, and, that made me understand the system a little differently. So I put it in the right song, meaning that even though I came and this all happened to me, I refused to let somebody else write that narrative for me. I claimed my identity back by going to that place. And that's how that song came about. I chose to rise above the narrative that somebody else built for me, and I choose the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that rise. When we get hit with so many things, and not only physically, but with all the emotional things we go, and especially when we have children as a parent, you always want to rise and and model for your children.
Yeah.
And then one of the reasons I'm not sure again how much you know about me, why I called you a goon is I have a charity called Goons for Good,
Yeah.
and that's where I know you and I had shared some conversation around because you're the founder of the Protect Children New York,
Correct.
and because of your passion and the stuff, could you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yes, so that definitely came from a personal pl place because at first the battle started about like me trying to tell my truth. But during that process, my child was being hurt because he wasn't being protected even by the system that was supposed to protect him. So I'm looking at it now from the point where children, not only my child, but there are other people that are going through similar, if not worse, situations, and children are being almost like swept under the rug while the parents are fighting in court, but the court doesn't really know what's going on because psychological abuse and coercive control and emotional trauma are not visible, right? Now, the courts only see black and white. So this protect children and why comes from trying to make courts recognize coercive control, mental abuse, and excuse me, children form trauma bonds with the abuser and they don't speak up because not only do they not have the vocabulary for it from when it's happening when they're so young, even when it comes to reality when they get older, they've already formed the trauma bond. So how are the courts going to be able to protect children if they're only looking at black and white and not investigating, looking at mental abuse and all that? So that's why Protect Children New York came up to try and push the courts to recognize this part of the battle that nobody looks at, the children that are getting harmed in the process, So that's really where it came from. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because in those situations, especially when there's a parent and when there's two parents involved on different sides, it becomes so hard to tell that story, and the courts are trying to find the legal solution versus always the best solution for the child, or really dive into what's going on, right? It's hard to, at times. I mean, I've been through a situation like that where, having that conversation around how do you have that conversation? And at times even the court knows what's the right answer, but how do you split the baby, right? The old biblical thing. How do you split the baby? And it's really hard, and especially when you can see your child being hurt.
Yeah. And then, like, it comes down to it of who presents it better to the court. That's what I really come to see. It's sad to say this, but it's like a game. Who
Mm.
plays the game better? At the end of the day, it's sad to say I don't see that they're really looking for what's the betterment of the child. It's really who can present the case better. So that's what they go towards. So because if they really wanted to know about the betterment of the child, they would investigate. And I
Right.
don't see that happening too much.
Right, because they don't want to go in, right? Family court, unfortunately, and there are people who do go to those levels, but it becomes so cost prohibitive,
Oh, yeah.
and that's part of the challenge.
Yeah, definitely. Because then some parents lose contact with their children because either they don't have the money to fight, and then they see the courts are not siding with them and they give up. It's very, very sad.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I mean, any of these situations are really hard, and I have a friend who lost her children because of the weight of the balances were so unfair financially for her that somebody who had more money was able to
Yeah.
tell the story that you want. And I know, part of your story, your writing of music, and you're a huge storyteller. That's what we want to do, but we want to get the right story out to so everybody can hear it.
Right, that's why I was talking earlier about the narrative being built, because I'm like, wait a second, that is not my story. That is not what I came to this country for. That is not how I saw my life, and I had to reclaim it. And it's a long process, and I think I'm still going through with it, like you're always discovering yourself, I think that's what I missed out when I was under somebody else's control. You lose your identity. You become like I learned about it recently that it's called narcissistic abuse.
Mm.
I did not know about it, but now that I learn about it, I understand more what happened to me, so it helps me heal better.
Yeah, no, right. Once you can stand into your own authenticity,
Yeah.
and that's so much, gives you so much power, and when you're able to rise out of that. Now I know one of you have another song that came out earlier this year, "My Man." What's that about?
Oh, that's about my Punjabi roots. Yeah, so my man came for a song that I wanted to, pay respect to my Punjabi roots and have some fun with it. And I have some other songs come up from my Thai side as well. And I recently released a song as To the Moon. Uh,
Mm.
this is my third single as well, which is also, it'll be a whole different side of me because that song actually came up as a lullaby that I used to sing to my son. And he just fell in love with the song. And yeah, but now when people hear it, they interpret it as like a love song. So I guess it's like you can interpret it how you like it. I don't know if you've heard the third single yet.
I did, and that was one of the things I was going to ask you. Because it's the moon, and I also thought it was, more, but it is because you put love into it, and it I guess what's really interesting, it's a that you could put it in any way that
Yeah.
you hear it, and it's how you wrote it becomes something completely different because of who your muse was at that time.
And the story behind it. It was, because my dad always says to my son, I love you to the moon and back, right?
Mhm.
So that's how I started singing to the moon. But it also carries something behind it, which is, we can't escape what is going on with us right now, right? With the court and all that. So it's like my escape, like me and my son talking about we can escape to the moon, to our happy place.
Mhm.
It's it, that would be, yeah, where it actually originated from.
So you've traveled well. So you mentioned about happy place. Where's one of your happy places?
Definitely home, in Thailand. I'm from Bangkok City, Thailand, and I miss it like so much. I miss the peace, the tranquility. I think because coming from Bangkok City to New York City, it's like two ends of the world. Like, I think from my perspective, the most peaceful place in the world, right? Thailand. And to like New York City, where people are super aggressive. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that has been a big change and culture shock for me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess it's different because I've always heard Bangkok is a very active city, very vibrant city, is how I see New York. But I also know that, given the circumstances that you've been under, that it definitely might not be as loving as you would have hoped, or feeling like home.
I understand what you mean, but like what I meant is that the culture, the Asian culture is a little bit softer, right?
Sure, sure.
So coming over here, it seems aggressive, but it's not that it is. It
Right.
just seems because of the contrast. But also, yes, the experience does play into the,
Sure.
the negative thinking about it, probably, yeah.
And all of your songs have such deep meaning, and I also know that you know have you tied because you have a master's in psychology, and how does that tie into your songwriting process and the process that you work through?
Well, I think that, everything I write comes from my heart, from my experience. Psychology is the same thing. It's the study of human behavior. It's just part of you, who you are as you grow as a person. Everybody, every human, it just makes you humanize everything. I look at the judges, I look at the police officer. Anybody is, at the end of the day, a human being
Sure.
you know. So whether like, I write a song, if it comes from my heart, that's my human side speaking out to the other human beings. So that's how psychology is broken it down for me. But through my lyrics, I just try to keep it as honest as I can. Like I'm telling my story, and I would like to continue it that way because I want to use my music as a vessel to be a voice for something bigger, like to advocate for like, protect children and why. I think that's the purpose behind my voice.
Well, I think that's what I liked about your music is that it's passionate. There's so much passion, and I think you use your music to like almost reclaim your identity and speak about that. Could you tell us how does that feel for you as an artist? I know when I write a book and I put it out there, I put all the words and the emotions behind it. Is it the same for you with your music?
Definitely, definitely. Like when we did Rise, it was so magical that I was able to put that into words. Not only was it healing and empowering, like I told you before, it felt like a piece of me. Like and when the song was done, it felt like almost like giving birth to a part of me. Yeah, so I understand like probably how you feel when you write your books and then you see your product. Same way, I feel like every single song is one piece of me.
Sure. Yeah. No, it does become part of us because as you're sitting there and you're thinking about it, writing and getting that intimacy with yourself, and how you're hoping to connect with the audience.
Yeah, definitely. You always feel like when people listen to your music that they can resonate with it and they can attune it to their own life. Because that's what music is so universal. Art is universal.
Right. It's the expression and how
Yeah.
you we could talk and have those conversations. Because but culture shapes a lot of that. The sounds, the storytelling. How have you blended all of that in? Because you have such a unique background.
Yeah, thank you. I do try. I think I'm only at the beginning. So the mixing is only just started. Because I actually did want, like I said, I tried to do music when I was younger too, but it was not encouraged by my family. So,
Mm.
it's almost like I had a whole pause in it, but it was brewing in my brain. So now the product is coming out one by one. But I love the blend of it because till today, you won't believe that Indians still look at me like Thais and Thais look at me like Indians. So I'm like, okay, we call ourselves Thai Sikhs, and that's what we are. There's a little community of us, but I hope that that little uniqueness will also, show in my music. Like I'm also planning to do a song in Thai, like just mix it up a little bit more.
Yeah, that integrating all that, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things that how I grew up. I didn't know all the different sects and things like that. And then at one point, I was working with a fabric salesman, so I learned
Right.
some of the sects, and we didn't really run into too many Thai Indians. But
Yeah.
I also have one of my best friends is from Bangladesh,
Yeah.
and the different sects in there, and then you just think of sex, countries, right? In big, broad strokes. But when it goes down, and it goes like that in the United States as well, each state has its own personality. Each little
Yeah.
sect has a
Absolutely.
personality.
Yeah.
So how did the cultural background, how did that influence you? Because you were told, not to do it when you were young, but you
Yeah.
had that passion with inside you.
Yeah, definitely. I think because, that's not something that you can create like up. It's something whether you have it or you don't, right? The love for art or the love for music or stuff like that. So I think even though I wasn't allowed to, I kept pushing. And then coming over here, it was one of my dreams to pursue my music when I came over here. But even though life got in the way, I didn't, give up. I still turned right back to my music when I felt like all fell apart. And that's how such a beautiful product, like such a beautiful thing came out of it, like Rise, because it was genuine, you know?
Yeah,
That's how, yeah.
yeah, it's that authenticity, but
Yeah.
that's that power of voice, because that means the power of voice really speaks so highly to your personality and to who you are. How does that, how do you balance that between yourself professionally or personally and your music? Because you might not want to talk about all of your court cases or the cases that you help new children, but you still want to have that flavor, that who you are, right? That passion that you are.
Yeah, well, I don't look at it like two separate things, I see it as just a part of who I am.
Mm.
So I don't look at it like my music is separate from my advocacy, even though I know there's a right place and time for everything. You just got to be on top of it. But at the same time, I prefer to look at it like it's one and a piece of me, and yeah.
Yeah, no, and because one of the things after listening to Rise, that rising really means about what when life tries to break you, and how do we rise, and what was the thought pro obviously you were going through challenges at that point, but what were you trying to make rise be, or how do you want it to come out for others?
So it's a funny story because it wasn't intentional at all, this song. It was me venting to my producer. And we were just, I don't know, for some reason going through everything that I went through and stuff like that. And he told me, why don't you just put it in a song?
Mm,
Let it out. And that's how we actually wrote Rise. And when I recorded it was not even the song I went to record. I actually went to record other songs. And we had time. So I said, okay, let's just record this. And we just did one take of it. And I didn't know they sent it off to the engineer. And then my producer was like, here we go, it's done. And when I heard it, I just, tears just came out of my eyes. I said, I can't believe this. Like how we managed to just all that venting, all that just singing out of, one time came out to be Rise. And the video happened on its own. Josh came from Icon Media, and he did such an amazing job taking me back there to allowing me to tell the story all over again. It was just magical how it came together, not intentional at all.
Well, sometimes that's the best stories that come out. The passion that you put behind it, the emotions you put out, and just that raw emotion, how it turns into something so magical.
Yeah, definitely. And it takes a team. I also learned the one very good lesson from this is one person is not an island. A human being is not an island, my mom always said. So it takes a team. It takes a team of good people that support you, that, when you feel bad, that they're there to lift you up. And, I went through a long time without that. And I feel the difference when you have a good support system around you.
Well, for sure. Community means so much, and now you've built a community here in New York, based on your base, and the Protect Children, right? So you're now in that community of advocates who are speaking up on behalf of those who can't speak up yet.
Right, exactly. And we're going to keep trying for that, we're going to be heard because I think the truth always comes to light, and I think mental health is becoming something more addressed nowadays, even in Asia, because back then, like, even it's very, very hard, like in our culture, you talk about a psychologist, they think you're crazy. It's a stigma,
Yeah.
but I think slowly, slowly, it's starting to get better now. And as long as we keep going in that direction, I think that even the courts will slowly open their eyes to that and maybe even, work on the laws because laws and stuff are made from before. New studies and new things happen. So they got to move with the time, you know?
Yeah, for sure, because that's what happens, right? The laws were made years ago, and then we have to take into account the new changes, the new nuances that have it. I mean, you know, even when you're writing a song, right? There's the
Yeah.
nuances of what you want to do and how you want to use it, because that's where we need to tell those stories the strongest way possible.
Yeah.
Because you've experienced again motherhood under pressure. How do you manage? So talking about mental wellness, and that's one of the topics we enjoy talking about. How have you balanced your own mental wellness during these challenges and the excitement of having songs and keeping a career?
Yeah, so having the music part has helped me a lot. Um, and studying psychology has also, in a way, helped me a lot to understand what had happened to me, what is happening to my child. While I'm studying it, I'm watching certain things happen. And so, it helps me with the understanding. So that's how I've been able to balance that. And then the music came in as a part of healing for me.
Mm.
And my son seeing his mom manage school and music and, work. And, I think it's a good thing for him to see. And I do it happily. Yeah, I show him that it's okay. It's okay to juggle things. It's okay to do stuff. But I don't show him that it's stressful. I do speak to him, but I don't show him about the stress.
Right. So how do you do that? How do you stay grounded, between being an artist, a mom, and all the things that you're carrying on? Staying grounded is usually the hardest, tough for all of us, is having the ability to, go through something, but not necessarily show it, or at least remain true to ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. This goes right back to the support system. You see, that's how I stay grounded because I have good people around me, like my producer, my parents, who remind me of home, my mom who recently visited and helped me out so much with my son. And my son gets to also stay connected to the family because of the support system that I have. So, that is, I think, how I stay grounded, that I have people around me that remind me who I am. Even when I forgot myself, when I surround myself with these people, I remember who I am because they treat me like the Neet that I am, not the Neet that was, made up to the world by somebody else.
Right, and right, it's always those people who know us, no
Yeah.
matter what, who sees us, flaws, which I can't
Yeah.
imagine you having many flaws, but flaws and everything else. But because so many women get misunderstood, right? Uh, how do we do reclaim our voices? And men also. I mean, I've been accused of that also, where you get misunderstood. That's not who you are. You know, other people's perceptions. What would you say?
What I have learned personally is getting to know yourself first, right? That is how you reclaim your identity because you have to know your left from your right. Okay, like sometimes we get lost because we have other people telling us what is left and what is right. But
Sure.
we need to take the time to reflect within ourselves and really see which one is it that we choose. I think that's
Mm.
how I reclaim. I took a minute to be like, it's me. I got to get to know myself all over again. Like, oh, I like this. I like this, or I don't like this. Self-identification, I think, is the starting point to self-reclamation.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because you have to reclaim ourselves, our own personality, our own self. At the end of the day, even while we have children, we have to do it for ourselves. You have to start with ourselves, and then be able to be a better parent, be a better, you know, be a better everything.
Yes, like, because it's like you have to have something for them to come back to. It's like right now you're still fighting for them, but you don't want to be a shell of yourself. You
Sure.
want, and you have to know yourself to protect yourself, right? You have to know who you are to claim that.
Yeah.
So
So, what are some of the things that you've learned in your reclamation of who you are?
I've learned that I'm very passionate about, mental health. I learned that I'm very passionate about, letting my community, who's been very closed off to this mental health situation, to try and go back home and maybe educate and help children and families understand each other more. Because me growing up the way I had to grow up, and my parents didn't understand me because of the strict Indian culture, it made us have so many clashes that was not necessary that
Mm.
nowadays, if parents actually sat down with their children, a lot of things could be resolved. And I feel like I could help them be the understanding midpoint.
Right, yeah, because you've been there, so you understood what the things that you needed. One of the strengths of mental wellness is sometimes finding the help we needed when we were first experiencing, when we got into those traumas or experiences.
Yeah, definitely. And not knowing where to find it and stuff, that's difficult, like, because I didn't know what to do, how to navigate, because I was in a different country here by myself, also retaliating against my own family back home because I wanted freedom, you know? So it was definitely a struggle between the two worlds for me.
So, what resources do you have now to help strengthen I know you said culture and your family back home, but what do you do here, being so far away? I can't imagine being that far away from family and some of your emotional resources.
Yeah, it's tough, but you have to because now, like, I'm sacrificing for my son, right? I'm here
Mhm.
fighting for him. Because if he was well taken care of, I wouldn't have had to go through this so much, I think. But knowing that he's getting hurt,
Mm.
that overrides my need for, like, my emotional well-being or stuff like that because I feel like I gotta save and protect my child first,
Sure.
before like I'm okay while I'm doing that because I feel like I'm able to be here to protect him. So that has to override everything for now.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. As a parent, that always comes first is, what's best for your kids and things like that. Because but what do you see in the future for yourself? What are you what are you planning be for both your advocacy as well as, you know, your career? I'd love to hear more.
Yes. So for the music, we're gonna do a few more singles. I would love to do some shows, work with a few artists from different countries, different music, different sounds. I really would love to do that and then, finish my album. And for the advocacy, I want that to go hand in hand with every song, every show, every interview. And that's how I see myself, that I just keep doing my music and using my voice to advocate for people that need it.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can see, you can definitely tell your passion for everything, and that's what comes out so strongly, both in your music and here now talking to you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. And so, what I'd like you to do is, I think we're getting close to the end of the episode. What I'd love to do is walk into my magic garden, and by that, I always ask everybody to plant a seed that's like a little bit of knowledge, something that you'd like to leave with the audience that might grow right now or might grow in the future.
I want to plant the seed that nobody's an island, that,
Mm.
everybody needs a support system. As human beings, we don't, walk through our life by ourselves. And with the right, it has to be the right support system too. God helps us through our way, but we got to help ourselves as well.
For
Yeah.
100%. And what are you hoping that listeners take away from your music?
I hope that they take the true authenticity of the feelings behind it.
Mm.
Whether it's pain, whether it's love, whether it's just the struggles and the coming out of it. I hope that they hear it and they feel power in the rise. They feel like, okay, that it's fine to rise. It's okay to fall. I mean, we're only human, but when it's time to rise, we need to step up and get up and rise. Because, like for example, we're a community. We got to help each other to do better. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it is once we've learned what the challenges are, it's our goal to then do better, right? When we don't know, that's okay. It's our responsibility to learn those things. And one of the things what are we going to learn about you in the future? What type of great, amazing things do you have coming up in your future?
Oh, that's going to be something you guys got to just look forward to. But definitely a lot more blend of my Asian culture, my Indian, my Thai, my Western, you know, a little dabble in all. And like I said, I want to work with different artists to make different sounds and stuff. So you can look forward to that for sure.
Okay. How can people find you? And I'll put it all in the notes. I know I have some links that we'll put in the show notes, but I'd love to hear it from you. How can we follow and support you? Because again, your mission for helping children in New York and advocacy in the court system is so important.
Yeah, thank you so much. So for my social media is under Kneet Music, Kneet Music. And for the music platforms, it's just Kneet. Kneet. Yes.
Okay.
You can find all my interviews and updates on there.
Okay, and we definitely will. I thank you so much. It's been interesting, and like I said, anything that I could do since we're both New Yorkers, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I'm still here. I'd love to help out and see how I can support you in any way.
Oh, sounds great. I'm definitely going to reach out. We got to do something.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
All right. And for everybody else, as always, we want to wish you peace and love in your life as a foundation. And then when you're bringing it back, bring those awesome thoughts exactly as Neat brought us today, all those awesome thoughts, and be awesome today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.